over to Philip. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Dan. Well, this is the last talk. Huge applause for Plowman and all the organizers for a fantastic conference. Really. My first time ever in Bulgaria, and I live like 4-hour drive away. So I'm embarrassed not to have come here before, but finally I'm here, and it came for a Bitcoin conference, a Bitcoin only conference, and I'm really happy about that. So good, great. So I'm going to talk to you about Jan3, the company I work for. As Daniel embarrassed me with a video that made me become a public Bitcoiner, that video then became viral. Next thing I know, I was on Daniel Prince's podcast, the first ever podcast I was ever on. So thank you, Dan. And we went to Miami together. And in Miami, he introduced me to, well, before Miami, he introduced me to Samson Mow. But we then met in person in Miami. And because, as I said in the beginning, as you saw in the beginning of that clip, I was working in traditional finance. I was not really talking well about it because at that point, I thought it was bit lame in the joke, and I didn't want to be mining fiat for much longer. I wanted to get into the Bitcoin world. And so when Samson said to me, hey, I've got this new company called Jan3. It's about nation state adoption. I want to recruit you. Do you want to join me? I was like, yeah, didn't even think about it. So the rest is history. Here I am today talking to you guys about Jan3. So what is Jan3? Jan3 is a company that focuses on nation state adoption. We like to orange pill governments. There's the logo. Jan3 mission is to accelerate hyper-Bitcoinization. We provide tools for individuals, enterprises, nation states to engage with a free and open Bitcoin-based financial system. So Samson Mow is the creator of Jan3. Let me go to the next slide. Here's the team. Samson Mow is the creator of Jan3. He doesn't need much introduction, but for those who don't know who he is a former CSO of Blockstream, the company that Dr. Adam Back, who was cited in the Bitcoin white paper, created. And Samson left Blockstream in good terms with Adam, because you can see he's one of our advisors, to start Jan3 because he had meetings with El Salvador's president, Bukele, and introduced the idea of Bitcoin bonds. So he got the name of being the nation state adopter of Bitcoin. And that name stuck, and so he decided to start Jan3. Jan3 is referencing January 3rd, 2009, which is when the first Bitcoin block was started to be mined. And the company has grown ever since. We have a great team of Bitcoiners. You know, Ben Van Hoddle, who is a entrepreneur from Belgium. Andrew Howard joined us recently to help us with our OTC operations and business development. I'm there. Edwin Rivas, he's a local El Salvadorian who's a marketing officer. And our director of engineering, who just recently joined us, Ramsel Ruiz. And then we have advisors, as you can see, the name that everyone knows, Adam Back and Stephen as well. So it's an all-star team, I think, and I'm really proud to be part of that team. So talking about El Salvador, I wanted to give you, everyone knows what's happening in El Salvador. There was that great interview with Tucker Carlson recently, and you understand that El Salvador is doing great things in this world, and it's an example, a leading example of the good things a strong leader can do. They adopted Bitcoin in 2021, and he also just enacted existing laws, turned them into emergency laws against the gangs, and actually managed to get rid of most of the gang members and open up El Salvador to tourism, to trade. And now it's one of the safest countries in the world, from being one of the most dangerous countries with the highest murder rate per capita cities in the world to being one of the safest places in the whole world. Absolutely incredible. They adopted Bitcoin as legal tender alongside the dollar. And even though the adoption rate is still quite low, people are not really aware of it too much, they still have access to it. And Bukele, as a leader, understands Bitcoin very well. He's completely orange-pilled. And he's adopted alongside, giving people the opportunity to use it alongside the dollar, to give it competition, to show that Bitcoin can be not just a money that you can spend and use as a day-to-day transaction, but also as a store of value. And people will start to realize that over time. El Salvador's Bitcoin holding, they started DCAing into Bitcoin. They started buying a Bitcoin every day since November 2022. Now they own about over 5,000, maybe 6,000 coins. That's incredible. They are one of the first movers, and they're going to be one of the winners. They are winning right now. So absolutely incredible El Salvador story. Lugano. Lugano is a city in Switzerland. It's the third biggest financial district or city in Switzerland after Zurich and Geneva. What's interesting about Lugano is they've de facto adopted Bitcoin, and we have over 2,500, I think now close to about 3,000 merchants who accept Bitcoin as payments. This comes from a country, Switzerland, that really doesn't need Bitcoin as other places in the world like Venezuela or Nigeria. So it's very interesting to see a country like Switzerland a city like Lugano adopting Bitcoin, but they are very forward thinking. They understand money. They used to be one of the last countries on the gold standard. So I guess there's some intelligent people there who know what's coming. And we are working with one individual who's actually orange pilling a lot of the politicians in Canton Bern, which is on the other side of Switzerland. And Switzerland, you never know, could be the next big, massive Bitcoin hub. So lots of things happening there. Oh, and also they have Lugano does a fantastic conference every year in October called the Plan B conference, which I went to 2 years ago, and I'm looking forward to going later this year. Prospera. Prospera is a free city in Honduras. They've adopted Bitcoin as legal tender in 2022, made it the official unit of account, and now they're about to launch a Bitcoin bond. I'll talk to you more about Bitcoin bonds later. Madeira. Everyone knows about Madeira. There was that massive conference in the beginning of March, Bitcoin Atlantis, which was a fantastic conference in a beautiful location in a football stadium overlooking the ocean, I guess, sorry. And Madeira it hasn't adopted Bitcoin, but the president of Madeira, Miguel, has made it kind of almost has embraced Bitcoiners, and now we have a lot of Bitcoiners moving there from all over the world. And you've probably met and heard people talk on stage. I think Jacob was saying that he's actually convinced his family to move to Madeira. Madeira is an autonomous region of Portugal, which is part of the EU, but given that they're an autonomous region, they can take decisions for themselves. And this is what's going to be interesting, that even Daniel Prince is on the board of Free Madeira as well. And interesting things could come from Madeira in the future in terms of Bitcoin adoption. Suriname. So Samson and Ben went to visit Suriname end of last year, around November last year. They met with the president. They recently found a lot of oil just off the coast. And of course, given that they found oil, you've had big American companies taking interest. So we went to speak to them, and we managed to get a meeting with the president and talk to him about Bitcoin, talk about mining, the benefits of mining Bitcoin like if you have surplus of energy, if you have energy, then you should be mining Bitcoin. And that's one way of reducing taxation. And also we talked about the benefits of legal tender. We're looking at the example of El Salvador. And he took some sort of interest. But the problem about Suriname is it is strife with corruption. The person who introduced us to the president is a Bitcoiner, Maya. And Maya is now running for president. So her popularity is growing. And we wish her all the best. But at the moment, we are forming contracts with the government of Suriname to hopefully that they will maybe allocate 1 or 2% of their country's reserves in Bitcoin. So hopefully that will go through. On top of that, with with mining ventures as well. So Suriname could be another first big mover as well. Colombia, funny enough, he's a socialist, but he's open to Bitcoin. It's Colombia. There's a huge organic growth of Bitcoin adoption happening there. I like to say that Jan 3, we are focused on top-down strategies, but we completely understand that Bitcoin is a bottom-up strategy. It's a grassroots effort. It's decentralization at its finest, and you can't stop that. But we think that coming in from top-down, we give a lending hand to the bottom-up, and we speak to government, we speak to presidents, prime ministers, politicians about the benefits of Bitcoin, how Bitcoin can benefit them, because remember, they're democratic leaders, they look out for themselves, but also how they can benefit other people, their subjects as well. And the president of Colombia is someone interested in adopting Bitcoin in some ways, so ongoing conversations there. Montenegro, we met with the Prime Minister of Montenegro. There is a president, but he had to run as Prime Minister because he had issues with his passport. But he is the one who the leader of his party. So he's the head of, he basically is leading Montenegro. He is a Bitcoin, I'm not saying Bitcoin, he's a crypto guy. He understands Bitcoin, but he's also distracted by other shitcoins like Ethereum. He's actually really good friends with Vitalik, sadly. But yeah, I know. Smart guy, but TradFi smart. You know, he speaks Japanese fluently, English fluently. I mean, he was spent years working in Japan and Wall Street and stuff, but he likes his crypto. And I think he's a step away from fully understanding Bitcoin. We spoke about the potential of a lot of having a Bitcoin community, of using Bitcoin, of Bitcoin mining, because they are, his party is about pro-European Union, trying to integrate themselves into European Union. And in doing that, they have to adopt certain energy laws that are very not progressive, that are very damaging to the economy. So we are trying to help them out by doing some joint ventures in mining projects that will allow them to better utilize their energy and make it more efficient. So that's an ongoing project there. Bitcoin and TradFi. TradFi is, its legacy financial system is on its last legs, we believe. So why do we talk about Bitcoin and TradFi? Because Bitcoin ETFs are a huge thing that happened to Bitcoin this year. This is when institutional money finally went into Bitcoin. We don't support it, but we don't hate it because it's very good for the price. But at the end of the day, ETFs, you're not actually buying the thing. You're just buying an exposure to the thing, which is not great. But that's great for the price and it's great for adoption. And we have had more people coming up to us wanting to converse about Bitcoin than ever before, thanks to the launch of the spot ETFs. Over here, we show the amount of Bitcoins that the ETFs are sucking up every day by day basis, almost. I think there. Here's it in BTC terms. So just to give you an idea of how much they are demanding, pre-halving, we were every day we were mining. We were mining about 900. We were mining 900 blocks. After the halving in April 20th, 21st, 20th or 21st, I don't remember. Was it 20th? Anyway, that got halved to 450. The demand of Bitcoins that the ETFs are sucking up are in the thousands, maybe 3,000 or 4,000 a day. So do the maths. That is a huge amount of demand for very little supply. So the fact that it's not 100,000 or more is mind-boggling. So yeah, now's a good time to buy Bitcoin. We believe, you see, so this is a chart showing that global reserve currencies have been around since the 1450s, basically. You see over there Portugal, Spain, Netherlands, France, Britain, and of course, the birth of fiat with USA. And we believe that that's going to end because Bitcoin is a superior form of money. And at the end of the day, the free market will always choose a superior product, which is a Bitcoin. It has all the properties of perfect money, and we believe it will be the reserve currency of the world sooner rather than later. So first movers will benefit. I don't know why we put that in there, but MicroStrategy, they adopted Bitcoin. We all know the story of Saylor. He's one, great voice for Bitcoin. Ossify, store of value. Blah, 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 blah. He's great at talking about Bitcoin. He's hodling about, his company's actually bought up to 214,000, almost more than 1% of the 1% of the whole Bitcoin supply. But you can see up there, BlackRock, IBIT is their spot ETF. Look how much many coins they're sucking up. That's staggering. We believe that will start to slow down as the price goes up, but it is one of the most successful financial products, the most successful financial product to be ever released. Not just Bitcoin itself as the thing since its release in 2009, but the actual Bitcoin ETF as a traditional finance product using Bitcoin as the underlying asset has been one of the most successful and most demanded financial products in the world. Bitcoin strategy. So what we sell Bitcoin. We're selling the idea. We're trying to orange pill governments, but we are also trying to teach them about what you can do with Bitcoin, and Bitcoin bonds are an interesting product, which we believe have great future. My time is out, but I can continue, right? All right, good. Thanks. So a Bitcoin bond, we believe, has a big future. I talked about that Samson created the idea of the Bitcoin bond back in 2021, just after Bukele adopted Bitcoin in El Salvador. And I think also Max Kaiser talked about this before, but the Bitcoin bond is a really interesting product. So what is talked about in El Salvador, they haven't quite done it yet, but could be a model from any place in the world, is say, for example, you have 1 billion, you want to raise $1 billion. Half of that, so 500 million, will go into buying the actual thing, Bitcoin. The other half, 500 million, will go into the infrastructure of the energy for mining Bitcoin, either finding new energy sources. So in this case, in El Salvador, volcano energy, geothermal energy, and developing that into mining Bitcoin. Then it will be like a 10-year duration bond with like a 6% payout every year. Then that's generated from the mining of the Bitcoin. And then that matures after 10 years. So that's over 2 Bitcoin cycles. And then you get the nominal value back of your dollars plus the growth of that in Bitcoin. So after 10 years, that's huge. So we believe that you can structure these products to do a lot more than that, to actually eliminate global debt completely. It's mind blowing that I think if you use Bitcoin in financial savvy ways, traditional financial ways, but doing it the Bitcoin way, the debt-free way, that we can actually eliminate global debt. It's going to be a game changer. And the first movers, as we said, it's game theory over here. The first movers are the ones who are going to benefit the most. Also, the reason why we're trying to speak to governments around the world and politicians and stuff is because if you have them adopting Bitcoin in any shape or form, and we're finding that mining Bitcoin, because energy is a huge aspect of life, it's how civilization got to develop. So if you have energy in your country, surplus of it, or it's been wasted, or you want to sell it, or something, like strap in some Bitcoin miners to it, make your energy more efficient, and then you can create money. That money can then be used to fund infrastructure projects, education, or whatever, and then you can actually lower taxes to people. At the same time, the government will start to understand that Bitcoin is good for them and good for its people, and will start to actually look at it kindly and regulate it better. Will actually maybe even regulate it properly, understand that Bitcoin is different from the rest of the shitcoins, and make almost zero regulation of Bitcoin, let it be, do its thing, and regulate the shit out of shitcoins because they're all just unregulated securities. So yeah, we put this El Salvador's Chivo wallet for the because we've come out. So how do we get revenue at Jan 3? Was we released our wallet, which is the Aqua wallet. Some of you may know about it. It's a Bitcoin wallet with USDT on it, but on Liquid. And it's a Bitcoin with Lightning and Liquid layer 2 solutions on it. Reason why we put Chivo's wallet there is because Chivo was a wallet that was launched by the El Salvador government. They did it a bit too quickly, and because of that, they had a rocky launch, and they had a lot of issues to iron out after adoption. But they kind of got there. What we want to do is be able to offer our Aqua wallet to nation states and white label it and make it super easy for nation states to use our technology and just bootstrap it and make it available for any country in the world. So that's the beauty about Aqua. But Aqua is more than just that. It also supports stable coins. We believe that sorry to all the maxis. I'm not the biggest believer in USDT, but USDT is used a lot in Latin America. It's actually used probably more than Bitcoin for transaction. Latin America likes USD dollar exposure, and we give it to them with Aqua Wallet, but on Bitcoin Lightning, Liquid layer 2 solution. You can actually transfer it in using, hate to say this, but USDT on Tether on Tron and Ethereum. But the clever technology inside the wallet is when you transfer it using those rails, it turns into Bitcoin Liquid. So that's fantastic. It's completely non-custodial, and it's also you can swap your Bitcoin into Liquid, and that lowers your transaction fees. So when these wiztards start to do their ordinal bullshit on the main chain, and fees are driven high, and even starts to affect Lightning. Liquid is there to fix the day and actually keeps fees nice and low. We also, it's basically it's our belief that that Aqua is going to onboard the next billion users to Bitcoin, because we are trying to make it a wallet that your grandmother could use. It's all about user experience, but still focused on self custody. It's important that you hold your private keys. And this Aqua wallet is all about it. Everything that we're going to do in Aqua wallet is about self custody. It's non-custodial self custody, however you want to look at it, and KYC free. And we're going to have a marketplace on it. This is on the second button page of it. We would try to have it on the first page, but Apple, the App Store didn't like that, so we have to do it on the second page. But we want to have a marketplace that's friendly to integrate Bitcoin-friendly services. So any on and off ramp services to buy Bitcoin, also to pay bills with Bitcoin or Tether, and maybe some gift cards or debit cards, and just easy swap between Bitcoin liquid assets and layer 2 to use layer 2 solutions. And we're going to make it all super friendly and easy to use. Yeah, I guess I said this before. Countries that adopt a Bitcoin strategy today will have a massive advantage in the future. It's game theory. So this is what we're trying to do at Jan 3. We're trying to orange pill the world. And I know that and I said before, we know that Bitcoin's a bottom-up strategy, but we think that speaking to politicians and leaders around the world does have a lot of benefits. And also it's great for marketing. Thank you.
Yeah, I'm sure there's going to be some kind of questions from, yes, over there. Can we trust governments withholding Bitcoin?
Well, the thing about Bitcoin, you don't have to trust anybody. So if a government owns Bitcoin, yeah, they can own it, and they can. It's not really a problem with them owning it. It's a problem of there's no issues with centralization with Bitcoin and people and governments having a big stake in Bitcoin, because at the end of the day, those with the most amount of Bitcoins have to play by the same rules with those with the least Bitcoin. The issue here is who controls the nodes, and if nodes are nicely decentralized as they are, we don't know how many nodes there are because people are using it behind Tor network and all that, and that's where the threat is, a 51% attack. But even doing a 51% attack is not cost effective at all. By the time you've actually done getting close to 51% attack, and you get hold of one block, the whole of the network has figured it out and then already side forked away. So you're just left with one block, and it's a waste of money. So the incentive structure of Bitcoin, this is what Andreas Antonopoulos, he has a great talk. He's very, very eloquent in describing this. But at the end of the day, it's the incentive structure of Bitcoin is it corrects the reverse perverse incentive structures that the fiat system have given us, and Bitcoin has made it the incentive structures that they're more within human action, natural order. So we are if you behave well, if you do good, and be a good human, you will do well in Bitcoin. And that's the beautiful thing about it. So instead of investing that money and trying to attack Bitcoin, you could have used that money to invest in Bitcoin itself and Bitcoin related projects, and you would have benefited 100 times more. So
I saw another hand go up, I think, down here. Yes. Have you tried to orange pill the Bulgarian government?
No, not yet. But
do you know someone?
I was just going to ask that. If anyone here knows, I mentioned this yesterday. So we don't rely. I mean, I try to make connections. I try to open diplomatic lines with leaders around the world and people to try and talk about Bitcoin. But that always ends with a no. No one wants to talk about Bitcoin. So we actually, unless I have connections, that maybe lead to some conversations. But really, we depend more on you guys, on Bitcoiners on the ground, on Bitcoiners all over the world who have made connections with their local elected leader, local authority, and have identified a person that's interested to talk about Bitcoin. So they come to us, they say, we need some help. So we create maybe a Telegram group, we exchange some notes, maybe have a Zoom meeting, and next thing you know, we might have a meeting with that politician. So it's really dependent on that decentralized network, which is Bitcoin. So it's all about the help comes from you guys. That's really the main help.
Who has the in? Plumman? Does he know the? I learned actually yesterday, I think it was, somebody explained to me, because there's been a big story about the Bulgarian government holding more Bitcoin than, right, 215,000 Bitcoin or something.
But it was fake news, apparently.
Apparently it's fake news.
And they didn't even have the keys, so...
What, does anyone know the story behind that or the truth? Does the Bulgarian government hold any Bitcoin? Yes or no?
No.
No, nobody knows. No, yeah.
No, you can't.
There's a question here.
Oh, so they only had 200 then.
Okay, that's cleared that up. We still need to orange pill the Bulgarian government.
We need to orange pill well, we don't need to have orange pill, no, because Bitcoin is going to do its thing. But it helps to speak to governments and tell them that there is this technology that they better learn about and understand about, because it could keep them in office for much longer.
I have a question, Philip.
Yes.
How many other royal families have you spoken to about Bitcoin?
I have, but I'm the only public royal family member of a royal family. I mean, the only member of a royal family that's publicly open speaking about Bitcoin. I know that the Liechtensteins, I've spoken to the Liechtensteins before. They own Bitcoin. They understand it. They don't like other shitcoins. They get Bitcoin, but they are seeing it more as an investment. I see it more as a world changer, as a saving solution and world changer. They're just seeing it more as an investment, but something that's very interesting that could be useful. And there is a semi-adoption in Liechtenstein, and now you can actually pay taxes and settle some bills in Bitcoin. Apparently, we're talking to one Bitcoiner there, a guy called Philip, of all people, of all names, and he's doing great work trying to orange pill the prime minister there. And I've spoken to Michael of Liechtenstein, who's the cousin of the reigning, not the reigning king. Oh, so I say prince. It's a principality. He's given over his administrative duties to his son. But Prince Adam II he wrote that great book, Millennium, the State in the Third Millennium. His son is now running the country, and his cousin Michael Liechtenstein organizes a conference every year, and they're all Austrian economists, libertarians. And last year the conference was about private money, which meant talking about Bitcoin. And there was a lot of positivity about Bitcoin, but still, I don't think it was enough. I think they could have talked more positively about Bitcoin.
Okay, and I think we want to know, as you are from Serbia,
yes,
when are you going to orange pill Novak Djokovic?
Oh no, that gets asked all the time. He's a very private individual. He is, he doesn't show his political views very often at all. He has to be very careful, given how much of a high profile figure he is. He's one of the most recognizable people in the world, so he has to be careful what he says. And already his anti-vax stance, but he never said that he was. I mean, he didn't say he was anti-vax. He just said he didn't want to take it. He never actually told you the reasons why, exactly because of what bullshit it was. But he just said, I don't want to take it because my body's my temple, and blah 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 blah. And he turned out to be right, of course. But he's, I think, maybe his second calling in life is once he retires from tennis, if he ever retires from tennis, because the guy's a machine, is that he could be one of the world's best freedom fighters. And so that's why we're going to make sure he becomes a Bitcoiner. So hopefully our stars will align, and I will orange pill him.
And last question. Has the chat show host got back in touch to ask you about Bitcoin?
He hasn't, actually.
Oh, no way.
Yeah, well, Bitcoin in Serbia, it's a little bit, I guess, in the Balkans, cash is still king over here. People like cash because they think it's private, and they look at something like Bitcoin and they think there's a lot of distrust for the state here. I'm talking about the Balkans. So they see something like Bitcoin, they're cynical already, and they're already quite red-pilled because of all the bullshit that's happened in this region over the years. So they see something like Bitcoin and they think it's too good to be true. And they think it might be controlled by the CIA, NSA or something, KGB. You know, I've been labeled all those MI6 and stuff. But they don't realize that, you know, even if it was created by the CIA, KGB, that it's open source code. You can go verify yourself that whoever created it, it's gone, and it's completely it's a trustless system. So they haven't got, a lot of Serbs haven't got to that level yet. Also, they don't trust digital. That's why they like their cash. There's a big gray economy in Serbia. When I go shopping, for example, for my groceries, I do it in the market and I spend it in cash. I think that could easily be turned into a Bitcoin market. Yes, turning Bitcoin back into fiat is a taxable event in Serbia. They had crypto laws that were introduced in 2021. I will hopefully help to change those and get rid of the capital gains tax on Bitcoin. But I'm happy to leave it for the rest, of course, and teach Serbians that they can store that Bitcoin is the best store of value and it's a savings technology, and they need it because right now Serbia, like many parts of the world, is experiencing a high cost of living crisis. Even though the government has said they've reduced inflation down to about 4 or 5%. Food inflation and energy inflation is still sky high. And when they say 4 or 5%, those figures are tinkered with, just like anywhere in the world. So I think it's high time for some more Bitcoin adoption and stuff. But at the moment, I don't have much relationship with the government in Serbia, but that will hopefully change. And I know that the Serbian government I know the president is got teams of people mining Bitcoin on the border of Kosovo, because they have free energy there. So they're intelligent people. They're stacking gold and stacking Bitcoin right now. But they're not really sharing it with the rest of the people as a lot of democracies do.
They're not going to share it with you. You're a royal spook. Yeah, you want them gone.
Yeah. Well, no. I just I'm a great believer in monarchy, you know, because I'm a prince. So, but in my presentation yesterday, I had to shill monarchy because I think it is one of the best forms of governance out there. And although I'm a libertarian and I believe in minimal state, and I could be and I do believe in anarcho-capitalism, and the eradication of the state would be beautiful, but I do think that maybe monarchy could play a role as a protector of traditions, family values, customs, and all that under a Bitcoin standard. So powers are almost reduced to nothing, and they will just be there to represent the nation, because you're never going to take the nation away from the individual. And individuals out there love where they belong. They are very proud of their country. You're proud Bulgarians, Serbian, French, Germans. You know, it's Germans. So taking the nation, the belonging away from those individuals is never going to happen. And I think in an anarcho-capitalist environment, if you just had that with no state, I think you might start to lose that nation identity and all that. So I think with a monarchy, that is not there to tax people, but there as a protector of customs and traditions and also religion as well, then I see that as beneficial. And they're there also for foreign policy, which I think is very useful. So for diplomacy matters around the world. So that's where a monarchy can come in at hand under a Bitcoin standard.
Under a bit, of course.
Yes.
Ladies and gentlemen, Filip Karađorđević, thank you very much for making the effort to come.